Queen Camilla lied, and Prince Louis, just 6 years old, was the first to say it out loud. He didn't understand why her eyes, her smile, the woman they called Queen, could feel so cold. Simply because a child asked her to play a board game. But William understood. He had seen it for years in the averted glances, the carefully chosen words, the subtle distance Camilla always kept from his children. And still he stayed silent. For his father, for the crown, for the unspoken rules of a monarchy built on things never meant to be said aloud. Until Louis spoke, an innocent sentence, yet sharp enough to crack the wall that had held the family's image together for generations. And Kate, she is not Diana, but the moment she held her son in her arms that tear-stained Christmas night, she understood what it meant to be quietly cast aside by the very woman who once made her mother-in-law weep in the shadows. It all began with the words of a child, but it would grow into a fracture too deep to mend between two generations of a royal family that once prided itself on silence. Westminster Abbey. December 24, 2023 transforms into a breathtaking Christmas masterpiece where light and sound weave a symphony of sacred beauty. Hundreds of tall candles perched in gleaming silver holders cast a warm golden glow dancing across ancient stone walls etched with medieval carvings. The choir draped in crimson robes threaded with gold lifts, their voices in a haunting rendition of "O Holy Night," the melody so sweet it seems to freeze time, drawing every heart into a moment of peace and hope. The Together at Christmas service, orchestrated by the poised Princess Kate Middleton, is more than a charity event. It's a subtle declaration of the British monarchy's image, united, compassionate, and relatable. The guest list is a who's who of diplomacy and charm. Sharp-suited diplomats, politicians with practiced smiles, and specially invited everyday citizens fill the polished wooden pews. Soft whispers and the clink of wine glasses create a gentle background hum. But all eyes, no matter how discreet, are locked on the Wales family, the undeniable center of attention. Kate, radiant in an elegant emerald silk gown, stands with perfect poise, her smile warm yet confident. Beside her, Prince William, dashing in a black tuxedo, exudes a blend of tenderness and vigilance, ever ready to shield those he loves. Their three children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, stand nearby, each a unique piece of the royal puzzle. 10-year-old George, serious and composed, carries the weight of a future king in his sharp, guarded eyes. 8-year-old Charlotte, graceful and self-assured, her brown hair tied with a red ribbon, scans the crowd with a rare sophistication. And then there's Louis, the 6-year-old spark, a bundle of uncontainable energy. His bright eyes gleam, his toothy grin infectious, his restless fidgeting, defying his mother's gentle reminders to stay still. At the heart of the Abbey stands the Tree of Kindness, a towering symbol of Kate's vision, adorned with red and gold ribbons that shimmer under the candlelight. Guests are invited to hang thank you cards on its branches, a tribute to life's blessings. George and Charlotte approach the task with admirable focus. George carefully places his card, his neat handwriting discreet. Charlotte, with a glance at her mother for approval, hangs hers with a small, proud smile. But Louis, bursting with childlike zeal, steals the show. Holding his white card high, its scrawled letters bold and unpolished, he reads aloud in a clear, ringing voice that echoes through the Abbey. "Thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, for playing games with me." The crowd chuckles softly, the warmth of their laughter rippling through the solemn air. Grandma and Grandpa are clearly Carole and Michael Middleton, Kate's parents, known for doting on their grandchildren. It's a sweet, authentic moment, perfectly aligned with Kate's mission to present a down-to-earth monarchy. But the warmth fades fast. A middle-aged guest in a red wool coat, perhaps aiming for playful banter, approaches Louis. With a mischievous smile, she leans down and asks loud enough for those nearby to hear, "What about Queen Camilla? Darling, did you write anything for her?" The Abbey falls silent as if the air itself holds its breath. All eyes turn to the 6-year-old standing by the Tree of Kindness. Louis, with the unfiltered honesty of youth, tilts his head, his star-bright eyes narrowing for a split second. Then with unwavering conviction, he replies, "She's not nice. She lied to me." The woman's laughter dies in her throat. The crowd freezes, some stifling gasps behind cupped hands. Kate's smile falters, her hand trembling as it rests on Louis's shoulder. William, a few steps away, clenches his fists, his jaw tightening like stone. Not far off, Camilla Regal in a crimson silk gown turns sharply, her eyes widening, lips pursed. Her polished smile, honed over decades, holds firm, but her gaze betrays a flicker of panic and resentment. Louis's words, though innocent, detonate like a quiet bomb in the Christmas night, rattling the fragile glass walls of the monarchy. They're not just a child's outburst, they're a blinding flash, illuminating hidden secrets and cracks in the royal family the public has never seen. Behind "she lied to me" lies a bigger question. What did Camilla do to provoke such a statement? And what lies are lurking beneath the monarchy's glossy veneer? Adelaide Cottage, the cozy haven of the Wales family, now feels like a fortress under siege, as if the storm from Westminster Abbey has followed them home, seeping through the wooden beams. Christmas Eve, meant for joy and light, is cloaked in a chilling fog of unavoidable truth. In the small kitchen, the fireplace crackles, casting trembling shadows on the walls, but it can't thaw the ice gripping William and Kate's hearts. Kate sits at an old oak table, clutching a cold teacup, her eyes usually bright with confidence now hollow, lost in a maze of doubt and pain. Her emerald gown from the service still clings to her, a cruel reminder of the night's heartbreak. Her perfectly styled hair falls loose across her forehead as if her polished facade is crumbling. William stands by a large window staring into the snow-draped garden, a living statue of tension. His shoulders are rigid, bearing the weight of a kingdom. Moonlight filters through the glass, casting a silver sheen on his sharp features and stormy eyes. Silence hangs between them, but their minds churn with memories and suspicions, roiling like waves before a tempest. Louis's words, "She lied to me," aren't entirely shocking. For years, they've noticed Camilla's distance from their children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. The way she avoids standing near George at public events, her curt nods as she passes Charlotte, the deliberate choice of seats just far enough from Louis to escape the camera's scrutiny. William and Kate had brushed it off, convincing themselves Camilla was simply overwhelmed by her role as queen, buried in endless meetings and speeches. They wanted to believe she meant no harm, that her aloofness was just a quirk, not malice. But Louis's words, like a stone shattering a still pond, stir memories William had buried deep. Staring at the falling snow, he recalls a rainy afternoon in 2020 at Clarence House, sitting across from Margaret Wells, a seasoned PR advisor, with silver hair and piercing eyes. Over a sip of Earl Grey, she'd said, her voice cryptic yet pointed, "The Queen isn't at ease with grandchildren not of her blood. She sees them as reminders of an uncomfortable past." At the time, her words were a passing breeze, dismissed with a chuckle as baseless gossip from someone long removed from palace life. William refused to believe Camilla, his father's beloved, the woman who stood by Charles through scandal, could be so cold to his children. Now darker whispers from palace staff flood back, piecing together a grim puzzle. A servant in a hushed conversation with William's aide once mentioned Camilla's request to keep the children away at Clarence House, citing a need for quiet work. Another staffer, eyes nervous, recounted Camilla complaining about Louis's noise during a Buckingham Palace family gathering, though he was merely playing with Charlotte, laughing like any child. William had ignored these as idle chatter, the harmless gossip of those in the palace's shadows. But now the fragments align, forming a truth he can't ignore. Camilla isn't just distant, she's deliberately pushing his children away, as if their presence is a burden. Heartbroken and confused, William and Kate resolve to hear the truth from Louis himself. In the cozy living room of Adelaide Cottage, where colorful children's drawings adorn the walls and the scent of burning wood fills the air, they sit with their son. Louis, sketching a green dragon on a large sheet of paper, looks up as Kate calls his name. With a gentle but anxious voice, she asks Louis, "Darling, you said Camilla lied. Can you tell us what happened, Louis?" His eyes clear and smile guileless, sets down his crayon, thinks for a moment, and speaks, his voice steady but free of malice. "I knocked on her door and asked if she'd play snakes and ladders with me. She said she'd play later because she was busy. But the next day when I came back, she said, 'Don't bother me, Louis. Children like you shouldn't be here.' I saw her just sitting, reading a newspaper, not busy at all." He pauses, his eyes dropping a hint of hurt in his voice that pierces Kate's heart. "She said I make her tired, and she doesn't like me because I look like someone she doesn't like." That final phrase, "someone she doesn't like," hits William like a dagger. His blood surges, fists clenching until his knuckles whiten. In his mind, his mother, Princess Diana, appears vividly, her golden hair, radiant smile, and blue eyes identical to Louis's. Diana, Camilla's former rival, whose presence still haunts the monarchy like an unshakable shadow. Did Camilla dare speak such words to his 6-year-old son just because he bears Diana's likeness? Rage surges not just for Louis, but for old wounds, never healed memories of his mother isolated and hurt by this very family. Kate beside him feels her heart shatter. She pulls Louis into her arms, stroking his blonde hair, fighting back tears. A profound sadness rises not just for her son's pain, but for the realization that the truth they'd ignored is now laid bare, sharp and agonizing. Camilla didn't just distance herself, she deliberately hurt their children, and that's unforgivable. She meets William's eyes, her gaze heavy with grief, but lit with quiet resolve. She'll protect her children, no matter who she must face, even the Queen. In that moment, Kate feels not just a mother, but the heir to Diana's legacy, a woman ready to fight for truth, whatever the cost. William rises, storming from the room, his anger unquelled. He knows this truth can't be ignored, that he must confront Camilla and his father. In his heart, a silent vow takes root. He won't let his children grow up in a family where lies and hurt are masked by fake smiles. Days after the Westminster bombshell, Prince William strides into a small room at Clarence House, where King Charles III awaits. The room, with its glossy oak-paneled walls and thick Persian rugs, radiates royal grandeur, but the air inside is heavy like a sunless winter day. The fireplace casts flickering shadows, yet fails to warm the chill settling between father and son. On an ebony table, a tray of biscuits and a silver teapot sit untouched, silent witnesses to a conversation both know will be brutal. Charles, ever composed, sits in a red velvet armchair, stirring his tea with a gleaming silver spoon. His sharp eyes avoid his son's, focusing on the spoon, as if to delay the inevitable. Dressed in a gray suit, his white shirt crisp, he carries the weary posture of a king burdened by a dynasty's weight. William, standing before him, feels his heart pound, each beat echoing Louis's words. "She lied to me." Trained from childhood to keep emotions in check, he struggles to stay calm, but a storm rages within. Without preamble, William recounts the Abbey incident, his voice low, but razor sharp, each word carved from a deep bleeding wound. He describes Louis's statement, "She's not nice. She lied to me," and the boy's later revelation at Adelaide Cottage, how Camilla refused to play with him, her hurtful words. "Don't bother me, Louis. Children like you shouldn't be here." And worst of all, her claim that she disliked him for resembling someone she doesn't like. He emphasizes every detail, especially the allusion to Diana, making clear this isn't a childish misunderstanding, but a deliberate, unforgivable slight. "Do you understand how much those words hurt?" William asks, his voice trembling with restraint. Louis is 6. He doesn't deserve this. He waits, clinging to a faint hope that Charles will side with him, defend his grandson, admit Camilla went too far. But Charles sips his tea, lips pursed, and responds in a flat, almost detached tone. "Your son is 6, William." Children imagine things. Camilla's busy, and she doesn't have time for childish games. "Don't blow this out of proportion." The words ignite William's fury. His blood surges, chest tightening as if it might burst. No longer restrained, his voice rises sharp as a blade. "Blow it out of proportion. You call my son's pain blowing it out of proportion?" Camilla didn't just refuse to play, she said things. No one has the right to say to my son, "Do you know," she implied, "Louis looks like my mother? Do you know how much that hurts?" He steps closer, fists clenched, eyes blazing, like a fire ready to consume the invisible wall between them. Charles looks up, his gaze icy, but his voice steady, as if shielding himself behind a fortress. "Camilla is my wife, William. She's endured enough to reach this position. I won't let you accuse her over a child's words." Yet as calm as a facade. William catches a tremor in his father's voice, a hint of an old wound he's desperate to avoid. The argument erupts, a storm uncontainable. For the first time, William shouts at his father, his voice shaking with rage and pain. "You choose her, you always choose her, even when she hurts your grandson. My mother was right about Camilla and you never listened. Do you know how much she suffered because of her, and now you let her hurt my son?" Each word is a dagger slicing into memories of Diana isolated and betrayed by this family. Charles, though, still seated, grips the chair's arms, his face hardening like stone. "Don't bring your mother into this," he says, his voice quivering, betraying a rare flicker of emotion. "Camilla saved me. I owe her. You don't understand what we've been through." William turns away, his heart constricted. He strides out each step, heavy as lead, echoing on the wooden floor. As he reaches the door, Charles murmurs almost to himself, "Camilla saved me from collapse." "Don't disrupt my peace, William." The words erect a cold, impassable wall between them. William doesn't look back. He leaves Clarence House, the winter wind cutting through his thin coat, but the external chill pales against the ice in his heart. In that moment, he knows he's fighting not just for Louis, but for his children, his mother's memory, and a truth he vows won't be buried. Fresh from his heated clash with King Charles, Prince William marches to Queen Camilla's private office, fueled by a cold, unyielding resolve, like a frozen flame blazing in his chest. Each step on the marble corridors of Clarence House rings like a war drum, heralding an unavoidable confrontation. The sting of Charles's dismissive defense of Camilla still burns, propelling William forward to protect his son and his mother's legacy. Camilla's office, tucked in a quiet corner of Clarence House, exudes regal elegance. Oak bookshelves lined with leather-bound tomes stand like silent sentinels, their aged scent filling the air. Camilla rises from her desk as William enters, without knocking, a rare breach of royal protocol. Her polished smile, perfected over decades in the public eye, greets him, but her eyes betray wariness, like a warrior bracing for battle. "William, how lovely to see you," she says, her voice smooth but cautious, probing his intent. Yet her composure is a fragile mask, and William, sharpened by years of navigating royal pressure, senses she's bracing for a storm. Cutting to the chase, William locks eyes with her, his gaze icy, as if it could pierce the facade she's built. His voice is low, each word a sharpened blade, unrelenting. "I know what you said to Louis. You told him he shouldn't be here, that you don't like him because he looks like someone you dislike. You may be queen, but you have no right to hurt my son." He pauses, letting the words sink in like stones rippling across a still pond. Then his voice grows sharper, like honed steel. "From now on, I demand you treat my children, George, Charlotte, and especially Louis, with kindness. If you say anything like that again or distance them deliberately, I'll make sure the world knows the truth about you." Each word lands like a hammer, shattering the perfect image Camilla has crafted. Her smile holds, but her face pales, as if her blood has stopped flowing. Her hand trembles as it grips the edge of the ebony desk, seeking stability against the tempest William brings. "William, you've misunderstood," she replies, her voice quivering, struggling to maintain calm but unable to hide her panic. "I meant no harm. Louis is just a child, and I was busy. I didn't mean to hurt him." Her carefully chosen words can't conceal the truth. They both know she crossed a line, and William isn't one to forgive easily. He cuts her off, his gaze unwavering, his voice cold as forged steel. "Don't explain. This isn't a request, it's a warning. My children aren't tools for you to vent your frustrations, and I won't let you hurt them again." He stands tall, commanding, a warrior ready to fight for those he loves. In that moment, Camilla sees not just a father, but an heir to the throne, carrying Diana's blood, a man who, like his mother, will challenge the monarchy for truth. The room feels frozen, time itself halted. Camilla stands motionless, her hand gripping the desk, knuckles white, her eyes flashing with fear and anger, yet she says nothing. Her perfected smile, her weapon for decades, is useless against William's unrelenting stare. He turns, leaving the room, his steps echoing on the marble like a proclamation, a promise that no one will harm his children. He leaves Camilla alone, the room now smaller, suffocating, as if the walls are closing in. In that moment, she knows William isn't just a protective father. He's an unstoppable force, ready to fight for a truth she's tried to bury, now exposed by a child's clear voice. In the Clarence House hallway, William pauses, inhaling deeply to quell the rage still boiling within. He thinks of Louis, his innocent smile, his blue eyes so like Diana's eyes that once saw the world with trust and hope. He thinks of Kate, the profound sadness in her eyes as Louis recounted Camilla's words, the way she held him, tightly shielding him from the world. And he thinks of Diana, his mother who battled palace secrets and betrayals, leaving him a legacy of love and courage to face injustice. William knows his fight has just begun. The crack in the monarchy, sparked by Louis's words, is now undeniable, deep, and impossible to hide. His warning to Camilla isn't just a father's plea, it's a declaration of war, a vow to protect his children even if it means defying the kingdom. As rumors swirl and speculation rages over the Westminster scandal, Prince Louis is whisked away to his grandparents' countryside home in Bucklebury, a quaint Berkshire town nestled among green fields and oak-lined lanes. The Middleton residence, with its gray-tiled roof and rose-covered fences, is a serene sanctuary where George, Charlotte, and Louis can shed their royal titles and be ordinary kids. Here there are no cameras, no rigid protocols, just laughter, garden games, and the comforting aroma of fresh-baked treats from a warm kitchen. That afternoon, golden sunlight streams through the windows, scattering shimmering patches across the wooden kitchen floor. The scent of freshly baked ginger biscuits laced with cinnamon and honey fills the air, creating a cozy haven starkly at odds with the storm raging beyond. Carole Middleton, her silver-streaked brown hair neatly tied back, sits beside Louis at the worn oak table etched with memories of countless Christmases. In a soft green sweater, her hands deftly roll dough, but her gentle, perceptive eyes never leave her grandson. Louis' cheeks flushed and eyes sparkling like gems kneads a lump of dough, his tiny apron dusted with flour over a red sweater. Humming a Christmas tune, his clear voice breaks into giggles as flour sticks to his hands. His innocence at just 6 is a breath of fresh air in the house. But Carole knows behind his smile lies a bigger story, one he unwittingly set in motion. With a grandmother's finesse, Carole gently probes her voice, warm but cautious, like treading a field of thorns. "Are you upset about what happened at the Abbey?" "Louis?" He shakes his head, hands busy with the dough, his tone firm and carefree. "Nope, but I don't get why Camilla told me to go away." The words, though innocent, halt Carole in her tracks. She sets down her wooden spoon, a chill racing down her spine, as if a long-buried secret has surfaced. Keeping her smile steady to avoid alarming Louis, her heart races. With a soft, deliberate tone, she presses, "Was she resting when you went to her, darling?" No, Louis replies, his eyes meeting hers, pure and honest, free of doubt or guile. "I knocked first like Mommy taught me. She said she'd play the next day, but when I went back, she said, 'Not today, I have a meeting.' But I saw her just sitting, reading a book in her armchair with a cup of tea." His simple words strike Carole like a hammer. A jolt runs through her, not from shock, but from confirmation of a suspicion she's long held. As Kate's mother, Carole has always noticed subtle cues in Camilla's interactions with her grandchildren, the forced smiles, the polite but cold nods, the deliberate distance. But hearing Louis, with a child's unblemished honesty, recount the story, Carole knows this isn't just a childish moment. It's a piece of a larger puzzle, a picture of detachment, broken promises, and a truth the monarchy has tried to conceal. Carole falls silent, her hands trembling as they rest on the table. Quietly, she pulls her phone from her pocket, activates the voice recorder, and continues, her voice still gentle, to keep Louis unaware. "Really, darling, did you tell anyone else about this?" She prompts him to share more, each word, a precious gem spilling from a forgotten treasure. Louis, engrossed in his dough, innocently recounts his attempts to connect with Camilla, her broken promises, and her excuses to avoid him. He's not angry, not sad, just confused, and that innocence pierces Carole's heart. She has no intention of leaking the recording to the press or wielding it as a public weapon against Camilla or the monarchy. But Carole, with a mother's and grandmother's instinct, knows that in the palace's world, where truth can be twisted or buried by power and wealth, this recording is a priceless shield. It's evidence, Louis's voice, a way to protect her daughter Kate and her grandchildren if the day comes when truth is silenced by greater forces. When Louis, after shaping his dough, squeals with delight and races to the garden to chase the family's shaggy dog, Carole remains staring at the oven, her heart heavy as if carrying the kingdom's weight. The fire dances, but it can't warm her. She thinks of Kate, the pressure her daughter endures as Princess of Wales, the sleepless nights, shielding her family from the world's scrutiny. and she thinks of Louis, the small boy who unwittingly sparked a silent war, one Carole knows won't end easily. Carole sets the phone down, the recording safe in its memory. She knows the Middletons are no longer just quiet supporters behind Kate and her children. They've become guardians of truth, ready to pay any price to protect what's right. In that small Buckleberry kitchen, amid the scent of ginger biscuits and Louis's laughter from the garden, a silent vow is etched: the truth, however small, like a child's voice, will never be extinguished. In the weeks following the Westminster upheaval, Buckingham Palace becomes an invisible battlefield, its PR teams operating like a well-oiled machine, working tirelessly to smother the flames of public outrage. Louis's words, "She lied to me," spread like a spark in dry brush, threatening to burn down the monarchy's polished image, painstakingly built over centuries. But with a legacy of controlling narratives, the palace isn't about to let a child's moment topple its empire. Yet truth, like an underground river, finds a way to surface, and what unfolds next changes the kingdom forever. Days after the event, the Times publishes an article, its tone soft but calculated like a velvet-wrapped blade. It paints Louis as a mischievous prince with a wild heart, a lovable, impulsive boy who brings unexpected moments to royal events. His Abbey remark, "She lied to me," is framed as a minor mishap, a childish quip, no more than a playful outburst. Clearly backed by the palace, the author stresses that children say funny things, urging the public to focus on the unity of Kate's together at Christmas service, rather than a harmless comment. The article subtly praises Camilla as a devoted grandmother, busy with charity and royal duties, yet warm-hearted toward her family. The public, easily swayed by positive spin shifts focus, and online chatter about Louis turns lighthearted, less suspicious. The palace's PR machine doesn't stop there. A week later, a video drops on Kensington Palace's official accounts showing Louis at a Berkshire Schools charity event. The 6-year-old, with a radiant smile and tousled blonde hair, gleefully learns to play drums under a young musician's guidance. His clumsy but enthusiastic moves and infectious laughter, especially when he misses a beat, melt millions of hearts online, sparking comments like, "The cutest royal ever," and "Louis is our treasure." Simultaneously, posts highlight Camilla at charity events, cutting ribbons at community centers, and delivering heartfelt speeches on education and children. Her elegant purple silk gowns and pearl necklaces earn praise as symbols of dedication and compassion. Louis's white card and Abbey comment fade like a small wave lost in the vast ocean of royal PR, but truth, like an unquenchable flame, flares through the cracks. Despite the palace's efforts, whispers of Camilla's behavior toward Louis leak out like water seeping through stone. Palace staff, witnesses to Camilla's distance from William and Kate's children, can't stay silent. An anonymous Clarence House servant tells an independent journalist that Camilla requested keeping the children away during work, complaining about Louis's noise, though he was just playing. Another staffer reveals Camilla's warmth toward her own grandchildren, Laura Lopes's children, but her clear detachment from George, Charlotte, and Louis, as if they're unwanted reminders of Diana. These whispers spread, amplified by anonymous social media posts in tabloids unafraid to challenge the palace. An anonymous X account, rumored to be a former palace worker, posts, "Camilla loves her own grandkids, but Diana's, she finds them a nuisance. Louis just said what everyone knows." Though quickly deleted, the post is shared thousands of times. The public, charmed by Louis's mischievous prince image, turns on Camilla. Social media erupts with outrage. Camilla only cares for her own grandkids, not Diana's. So petty to mistreat a kid for looking like Diana. What kind of queen has such a small heart? A Sun article, "Camilla and the Secrets Beneath the Royal Veneer," digs into her past, revisiting her controversies with Diana and questioning her worthiness as queen if she can't love her husband's grandchildren. The public storm intensifies, defying the palace's efforts. Veteran royal reporters openly question Camilla's actions. A Guardian column declares Louis's words aren't just childish. They're a beam of light piercing the monarchy's facade, revealing a queen unable to embrace Diana's grandchildren. Is this a sign of a divided kingdom? Similar pieces appear globally, from the New York Times to Le Monde, turning Louis's story into an international scandal, with Camilla at its core. Camilla, still appearing publicly with her practiced smile, can't hide her strain. At a London charity event in a deep green silk gown and familiar pearls, she speaks of family unity, but her voice trembles, her hands gripping the podium tightly as if clinging to her cracking mask. When a bold reporter asks about Louis, she deflects with practiced grace, but her eyes betray unease. Insiders note her withdrawal, her reduced interactions with younger royals, and her distance from the press. Some say she's shielding her image, building an invisible wall against the criticism. Others believe she's waiting, hoping time will quell the storm, as the monarchy has done for centuries. But truth once unveiled can't be buried. At Kensington Palace, William and Kate carry on their every move carrying deeper meaning. They avoid public statements, interviews, or tweets to clarify the issue. Instead, they protect their children with dignified silence. In early 2024, they quietly pulled George, Charlotte, and Louis from events involving Camilla, citing busy school schedules or needing rest. At a private Buckingham Palace ceremony, Kate politely but firmly declines a family photo, with Camilla citing poor lighting. The diplomatic gesture is a clear statement the Wales family won't tolerate harm to their children. In Kate's heart, profound sadness mingles with resolve. She thinks of Diana, isolated, fighting palace smiles and secrets. Kate knows she's walking Diana's path, vowing not to let her children, especially Louis, grow up in a world where truth is twisted. William, fueled by a father's rage and memories of his mother, grows more steadfast. He doesn't need words to wage war, no articles to explain. His silence, his family's deliberate withdrawal, speaks louder than any speech. And Louis, the boy who sparked the storm, remains blissfully unaware. At Lambrook School, he races across playgrounds, paints vibrant pictures, and spins tales of dragons and spaceships. His white card naming Grandma and Grandpa but omitting Queen isn't just paper. It's a reminder that in a palace where everything is controlled, a child did what adults dared not, spoke truth, not with malice or scheming, but with the pure honesty of an unshaped soul.